Dear participants, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the webinar on innovative conversion of coal-fired power plants. Coal mining in Chile began in the mid-1800s and soon made the country an important refuel station for coal ships bridging the East-West Passage through the Straits of Magellan. Coal was the lifeblood of numerous sectors, including the railroad, power utility, steel refining, and copper mining industry. Beginning in the 1970s, coal entered a period of sustained crisis as domestic coal production became uncompetitive internationally. As a result, coal was increasingly supplanted as a fuel source by cheap oil and natural gas imports. 2017, Chile signed the Agreement of Paris and adopted the National Climate Action Plan, which strengthened emission standards for coal power plants. Subsequently, in 2018, Chile started a formal process for decarbonizing its energy system. On the other side of the Atlantic, Germany's energy system has undergone profound change since the reunification of East and Western Germany in 1990. One change is that the German economy has become significantly more energy efficient. Primary energy consumption has steadily fallen since 1990. The transformation has been most profound in the power sector. While hard coal and lignite supplied 57% of all power generation in Germany in 1990, this figure fell to 28% by 2019. On the other hand, Germany decided to phase out nuclear by 2022 and to gradually reduce coal-fired power generation and end it by 2038. However, both countries, Chile and Germany, need innovative ideas about what to do with their coal-fired power plants and infrastructure. With this brief introduction, I would like to hand over to Rainer Schröer. Rainer is Director of the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Program of the Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit, GIZ. Rainer Schröer is an engineer in technical physics. Since 2014, he has been in Chile as director of several energy projects at GIZ, with focus on promotion of renewable energies, coal phase-out, green hydrogen, energy and efficiency in the mining sector, and the water energy nexus. Prior to arriving in Chile, Rainer oversaw the creation and coordination of a regional energy program for the GIZ in Central America. From 1994 to 2010, in Brazil, he led his private company, focusing on business and investment consulting for German companies. His experience also spans various countries, including Egypt, Indonesia, Kenya, Philippines, and Argentina. The floor is yours, Rainer.
Thank you very much, Julia, for the very extensive introduction. I would like to give in my presentation, based on our experience in Chile, an overview on how the reconversion of coal-fired power plant can speed up the coal-fired exit. Well, who is GIZ? GIZ is the German Agency for International Cooperation, and our mission is to sustainable development. We are operating in more than 120 countries, and we are working on behalf of the German ministries as an implementing arm of the ministries. Since 2008, we are engaged in the energy sector of Chile on behalf of our Ministry of Environment, the BMU, and since 2019, on behalf of the BMWI, our Ministry of Economy and Energy, and we are responsible also for coordinating the German-Chilean Energy Partnership. Our main partner in Chile is the Ministry of Energy and also other institutions as well as the private sector. And our objective is the support of the Chilean government in the energy transition and the mitigation of climate change. As I said, Julia, already, I'm responsible for several projects, and with 3 of these projects, we are working in, we engaged in the coal phase out in Chile. Since 2008 and 2014, we are really in the working strongly in the coal phase out. And what we have done so far, of course, the promotion of renewable energies as an alternative. We have studied the flexibility and the expected lifetime of the existing coal-fired plants here in Chile. We have participated actively in the coal commission. I was part of the commission. We have analyzed how we can convert coal-fired plants here in Chile and how we can find adapted solutions. We have studied especially the thermal storage systems. We did some feasibility studies. I'll come to it later. We have analyzed some financial alternatives for these plants because Chile is not getting more development aid, so you have to find other solutions. And we have done a lot of work in elaborating guides for the just transition. If you shut down plants, you have to see what will happen with the people. The situation in this moment, out of the 28 power plants we had in 2014, now there are 23 left, and they are with an installed capacity of roughly 5 gigawatt, and they are responsible for 35% of the electricity generation in Chile in 2020. Speciality, several of these plants have bilateral PPAs with the mining industry, which has to be supplied with 22 hours and 7 days a week. It's secure power supply. The coal-fired power plants here in Chile, they are working 100% on imported coal, and they are responsible for more than 22 million tons of CO2 equivalent emissions in 2020. Regarding the jobs, we can assume that each plant has 100 to 150 people working direct jobs and 200 to 300 people indirectly involved. The situation, we have 3 international companies involved in the coal-fired power generation. The biggest is AS Gener, and the other one NG and Enel, and we have also a local company called Boom. If you look at the expected life or the lifetime or expected lifetime of the plants, we can see that many plants are, some of the plants are quite old, so it's easy to shut them down, but 60% of the plants are less than 10 years old. So the expectation for major overhauling will be in 10, 20, 15 years. So the plants have still a very long lifetime ahead. So this is a problem if you like to shut them down, because they are stranded assets. They have a value. To give it some information about the Coal Exit Commission, it was formed in January 2018, and it was active until June 2019. As I said, I was a member of this commission. There were 25 members from the ministries, energies industry, NGOs, mining sector, trade unions, city mayors. And what was discussed were environmental aspects, international experiences, impacts on the power system, environmental impacts, social impacts. And one session was specially designed for discuss alternatives for converting coal-fired power plants. And on the end of this commission, there was an agreement signed between the 4 power plant operators and the Chilean Ministry of Energy to phase out on a voluntary base, to phase out the coal-fired power production by 2040 latest. In the first phase, they were already in 2019 shut off 3 power plants, and 2020 2 more. So we have now 5 already closed down. and the sixth will follow end of this year. And three of them that was announced by Engie 1 week ago will be reconverted before 2025. So the process is really ongoing and really on a voluntary base. Why considering repurposing or reconverting power plants? Because as I said, 60% of these installations are quite new. They're less than 10 years in operation. So we have existing infrastructure which can be utilized. We have power generation assets, you have transmission lines, you have substations, you have port facilities, you have water collection. The water rights are with the plants. You can maintain jobs with having the plants there still. And the power system security is a very important thing. Chile is an island system, so you cannot just take off 25 or 23 coal-fired power plants. And of course, you have to offer an alternative business opportunities, because this is a voluntary coal exit. The options we have considered so far in Chile, well, the decommission, we can convert the power plants in for industrial developments. You can utilize the port infrastructure to do export of copper or hydrogen as one of the new products which Chile will be exporting. You can convert them to seawater desalination plants. You can convert the plants to the hydrogen production plants. These are options. However, they can also use other options are to continue to utilize it as a power generation or system services installation. You can convert it to gas-fired plants. You can convert it to gas-fired plants operated by partly hydrogen or full hydrogen. You can convert it to a biomass. You can convert it to waste incineration, or you can offer with your plant power system services like backup power or a synchronous condenser in order to maintain the frequency stability of the system, etc. Other alternatives are to convert it to a thermal energy storage. There are three options we analyzed: hot air storage. There's a pilot project ongoing in Germany with Siemens and Gamesa, utilizing volcanic rocks and air as thermal storage. There are options to use hot metal storage. We will hear about it later on. There's a pilot in Hamburg, Marburg, or you can use a molten salt storage. We will also hear it. There are two pilots, one pilot in Germany with RWE and DLR, and we are engaged in a pilot together with the Ministry of Energy, the National System Coordinator, IS, and Engie here in Chile. This is some additional information regarding the energy transition in Chile, and also a video regarding the conversion of power plants in Chile. This gives you an illustration. Thank you very much.
Discussion round. So now I will switch to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Michael Gaya. He is a well-known expert in Chile who will tell us about a new and innovative idea researched by the German Aerospace Center in Germany, also known as DLR. Since October 2018, Michael is senior advisor in the field of thermal energy development storage for Carnot batteries at DLR. From 2001 until 2018, Michael was head of international solar project development, first at German CSP developer Flexol, and later at the Spanish firm Abengoa. Finally, Michael is author or co-author of more than 60 publications. Please, Michael.
Thank you, Julia, for this introduction. Indeed, in my professional life, I dedicated practically the last 20 years to molten salt storage for concentrating solar power plants. And I was introducing the world's first commercial one that is here at the Andasol 1 plant that is operating since 2008, so almost 13 years. And so let's say here, and the DLR, that is the German Aerospace Agency, and is not only putting rockets into space or airplanes into air, but since many years is Germany's leading R&D institution on concentrating solar power and on thermal energy storage. And so let's say in the context of the German coal exit, we thought that the molten salt storage that has commercially been proven is fully bankable and is utility scale could be a great element to repurpose coal plants. Because basically the heat there is used to run a steam generator and to run in CSP plants a Rankine cycle. So the idea was to reuse it. Now the stage of this is not R&D, is not demo. The largest molten salt plant is a tower plant is now being built in Dubai. 700 megawatts, 12 hours molten salt storage. Yes, 700 megawatts, 12 hours, and molten salt storage that has a capacity of some 10 gigawatt hours. And the next place, Chile, is just inaugurating the Cerro de Monador with 110 megawatts, I think 17 hours. So it's a well-proven technology. And here, what we are thinking is that with this technology, we can give coal plants a second life, which would be the fair transition, which would help to conserve all the jobs, with Rainer already indicated. And you see here that is a Chilean coal plant in northern Chile that is has lots of space for storage, and that is, let's say, a relatively new coal plant. And so Chile, I think, is we have started to think about it for Germany for the coal exit. But let's say geographically, Chile is probably the most ideal region to put the first demo plant because it has, unlike Germany, the best solar radiation in the world in the Atacama Desert. It's the highest one. But at the same time, it has in the north of Chile, it has some 5,000 megawatts of coal plants. These coal plants, I would say, only wait to be reconverted into storage plants to become a storage hub for Chile's solar power. So here are some pictures on the Chilean Atacama Desert where solar power is cheaper than coal power. And you see on the right side is the Cerro Dominador plant, which is currently being inaugurated. You see there they already have implemented, I hope you see my cursor, here the molten salt storage. They have a steam turbine. And so our idea is just replicating such a system, which you see exists, is being constructed in Chile, and build one at the coal plant. And on the other hand, you see all these PV plants in Chile. And when I say, and that is the difference to Germany. In Germany, lignite coal plant goes, I think, for some 40 euro the megawatt hour, and solar, I think, is now in the best at some 50. Here in Chile, in the north of Chile, the coal plants were constructed after Julia had indicated there was no mining in Chile anymore, and it was in 2005 when Argentina had cut its gas supplies that they built new coal plants there. Therefore, they are all young, and they were tendered in about 2007 at power purchase agreements of some $100 the megawatt hour. Not and so because the coal has to be shipped there, brought there, therefore coal is more expensive, like in Germany. And so while the solar power dropped to some latest PV is going to $20 the megawatt hour. And so one of the largest mining firms of the world, BHP Billiton, they early terminated their 15-year power purchase agreements with some 500 megawatts of coal power last year. And they terminated instead in 2027, I think, in 2020. And they paid an early termination fee of $840 million. And so there we have no new coal plants that, as Rainer indicated, have still a long remaining life, have high efficient equipment. And so our idea is giving them a second life. You also see that Chile basically is the source for most of, let's say, the elemental materials you need for lithium batteries. And the side product are the nitrates, which you need for the solar salts that are used in the molten salt storage. So Chile has the sun for the solar power, but in the Atacama Desert has the materials for the storage, and the sun also helps in the extraction process to harvest them. So how can we give, let's say, a second life to coal plants and with several storage and save their jobs? I just have put here some very simple diagrams. This is a coal plant that still is burning coal. It has a coal-fired boiler. It has a steam turbine, a generator, and a cooling tower. And so what do? We just substitute the coal-fired boiler by this molten salt storage that you had already seen at the Cerro Dominador picture. And instead of having a coal-fired steam generator, we have a molten salt-fired steam generator. Now, as I tell you, this is available technology. So you have this technology in 700 megawatt scale in currently being built in Dubai, but much more important, you have exactly this technology, 110 megawatts in Chile, being put into operation now. And how do we heat that? We do not heat this here with mirrors, but we heat it with the excess renewable electricity that, let's say, with the once Chile is going to high renewable electricity shares, with much of new PV generation, there will be lots of available electricity during the day. And here we just take simple resistance heaters and we heat with this the molten salt. There could be an optional backup firing, but must not. And we heat with it the molten salt and we store then this electricity as heat in the tanks. Now, what is the great advantage of this? The great advantage of this is you reconvert it not with electronics, but you reconvert it with a turbine. Turbine is rotating equipment, and we talk here of 250 megawatt plants. And so it provides the needed synchronous inertia in order to keep the power system stable. And therefore, we have performed a detailed study with together with the GIZ and together with the coal plant operators, but also with the Coordinador Eléctrico Nacional of Chile, who is the TSO, who is the National Grid System Operator. And he really welcomes to have for stabilization of his grid rotating equipment of reconverted coal plants. And of the 5,000 megawatts coal plants, he identified 1,600 megawatt, one third that have the potential to be converted. So just for your explanation, you just saw these are the what do you need? All you need, I say, is this. These are the molten salt storage tanks as you have seen in Cerro Dominador. This is fully commercial, it's fully available. Here, the molten salt steam generators, they are in the CSP plant, so that you can buy them today. And the electric heaters, that is, let's say, the only, let's say, somewhat new element. Here, SQM in Chile has for its salt processing already some 6 megawatts of electric heaters to heat molten salt to that kind of temperature. So the technology is there, is modular. So that is, let's say, the new element, and the new element is integrating this into a coal plant. Here you have, let's say, an artist's model of how this would look like. This would be, let's say, the old coal plant, and you add to this here molten salt tanks, you add a molten salt heat exchanger and a resistance heater, and done is the storage plant, and reconverted is the coal-fired plant with all jobs remain. Now, we have done an analysis based on the fact that we can buy charging electricity at some $20 the megawatt hour. Here, the coal plant operators, they tell us that probably in future you even will have, let's say, in the excess times, free charging electricity. But we have done it here with a conservative cost. We have considered here the charge-discharge efficiency of some 40%. And then, let's say, if we add to this a 12-hour storage to the coal plant for this 250 megawatt coal plant, we come to a cost of some $90 per megawatt hour, which is close to what the coal cost was today. And if you take the average cost that during 12 hours you feed directly in the PV electricity at some $20, and at night you feed it in at some $90, then your average cost is $55 a megawatt hour for fully decarbonized, clean electricity, but dispatchable. And so the Coordinador Eléctrico has made his own studies, and he has looked into the conversion of coal plants into storage plants. And by doing this, you see on the left side, you see these are the Canor battery plants. He is able to incorporate much more and much faster renewable power generation, because you can store them here in these power plants, and at the same time reduce his system cost because he needs less reserve capacity, and of course reduce the emissions. So we think that here, therefore, Chile has worldwide best conditions for repurposing coal plants. The coal is relatively expensive. The storage retrofit decarbonizes the Chilean power park while granting 100% dispatchability. Storage thermal plant in the northern grid avoid reducing or avoid curtailment of PV. And here, Chilean thermal power plants are relatively new, have a lot of space around, and are therefore easy to repurpose. And they make the storage thermal plants make perfect use of existing power plants, and they maintain jobs, so they are the best missing link for a fair transition. Thank you very much, and you can find more information on the study that we jointly conducted with the GIZ, with the coordinator, with the Ministry of Energy, and with ENGIE and AES Gener on this conversion.
Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. Our next speaker comes from Hamburg, and he will also give us an example from Hamburg from a future power plant. His key message will be a power plant will remain a power plant. Let us welcome Hanno Balzer. Hanno is economist from Humboldt University in Berlin. From 2003 to 2019, he worked as head manager in different units of Vattenfall Europe. And since 2021, he is head of energy management at HH2E company. Hanno, the presentation is yours.
Thank you very much, Julia, and thank you very much that I have the opportunity to share our thoughts of HH2E in terms of new power plants. I will just share my presentation. Hopefully it also works, but I guess it will be so. So thank you all that I have the opportunity to show you one of our innovations for the new energy landscape, an innovation made in Germany for the a new life for old coal-fired power plants areas. So we are HH2E. That's our company, a new founded company founded in beginning of this year to change the game of energy. What is our thinking? Our thinking is, and I'm very thankful to Michael, that all technologies are there to really change the game of energy. We are really convinced that renewable energies are the cheapest energy source in the future and will be the main driver for the energy market within a very short time. And it's our task, and therefore we are there as HH2E to take together the technologies, the areas where they can use, and the money to invest there. So be a project development company for this new kind of power plants. Just to give you a very short impression of the German electricity market of the last 5 months, here you see the electricity market and the price of the electricity market of the last months since 1st of January. And 1st of January, we started with the coal exit in Germany, and we actually see a very big impact for the market. So it's what it happens, what we expected will happen. We have very high volatility on the prices. Lot of hours when energy is very cheap. We had a lot of hours where the price of electricity is below zero. So it's possible to get electricity for €0 per megawatt hour. On the other hand, we have also few hours or some hours where the electricity price is very high. And our future power plant, we call it Zukunftskraftwerk, takes these as a framework for the design of all our components for this future power plant, for this Zukunftskraftwerk. We call this pattern of prices 4 of 24 hours. So we are convinced that in the nearest future, it will be possible to get more or less 4 hours per day electricity very cheap. And on the other hand, that especially at locations where we had old coal-fired power plants, it's necessary to deliver available steam, electricity, heat, and also in the future H2, hydrogen, 24 hours. And for solving this problem, we designed this Zukunftskraftwerk based on 3 main components. The first component is the high temperature storage. Michael from DLR showed us one high temperature storage, which is very good and available. We are convinced there are more than with this one, but the concept is always the same. You take electricity from the grid on a low price, store it on high temperature or at 650 degrees in our case, and then you can provide process steam for using in a steam turbine or as a process steam for the industry. The second part is an innovative electrolyzer. It's the zinc intermediate electrolyzer. It's a very old concept from the battery business of the last century. It was a bad battery because this zinc battery just takes 7% of the electricity back to electricity. The rest of the energy is possible to take out as H2. And we made from this bad H2 we had in the past, good H2 for the future, because we can use this H2 today for the industry. And with that zinc intermediate electrolyzer, we can also use the same concept, 4 hours loading, 16 hours in this case, delivering of H2. So we have more or less the same function as in the high temperature storage. On the right-hand side, and last but not least, we have a gas turbine, which is still necessary because, not at least in Germany, we have some hours without sun and without wind. So we have to have a reliable power production and also a reliable steam production. Therefore, we will use innovative, we call it innovative gas turbine. To be very honest, it's not that innovative. We change from biomethane, which is the first fuel we will use, to H2 as fuel. And with that gas turbine, we can deliver in 1,000 to 1,500 hours per year when the sun is not shining or the wind is not blowing. So these are the main components of this Zukunftskraftwerk. To establish this power plant, we also will establish a hydrogen trading platform, because in Germany there's not really a market for hydrogen. And to establish a hydrogen value chain, we are convinced that it is necessary to have this market. This is the first step. We will start with a small unit in Moorburg in the range of 500 million euros. That's the investment capital roughly we will need there. But the power plant is very big, and we are able to use the grid connection with 1,600 MW. So we will have a second step where we will do the same concept in a bigger size till 2030. But it's not only technical issues or technical things we can use in our power plant reuse concept. It's also the framework of the power plant. And therefore, we analyzed the needs of the stakeholders in the area of the power plant and put some project goals on this concept, which we want to solve with the project. First of all, together with Siemens and Uniper, we want to use as much as possible from the old components of the power plant for the new Zukunftskraftwerk. That starts with the grid connection, but it's also the water treatment unit, it's the steam pipeline to the customers, and so on and so forth. So we can use a lot of old components for our Zukunftskraftwerk. On the other hand, we have a lot of new components which we want to test in a brownfield surrounding, and that's the project goal number one. Second project goal is to establish a steam supply for this harbor area. Today, all the steam using industrial clients produce their steam more or less on site with a hard output of CO2. And it's the clear wish of the city of Hamburg to exchange this steam supply to a CO2-free new concept.
Sorry, Hanno, I have to interrupt you a second. You have 3 minutes left. Could you please speed a little bit up?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you very much.
Third part is this social partnership. We think that we can use the personnel from the existing power plant for operating our new power plant and also operating the hydrogen technologies in the new hydrogen value chain. The fourth one is the reduction of the grid fees for the existing energy intensive clients in that area. In former times, these industries were close to the power plant, so they have very low grid fees, and the idea is to use this power plant to do that also in the future. And last but not least, we have to establish this hydrogen value chain. We do that with a lot of partners. I will not go through all of them, but it's very, very important to use as much as possible the existing structures in Hamburg for this Zukunftskraftwerk. Just to give you a very short overview, we start with a prototype in 2021 in Tegel Airport, old airport in Berlin. Then we will have this iconographic future power plant in Moorburg, which should be in the first range, be in operation in 2025. And at the same time, we will establish this trading platform for hydrogen. Last but not least, I would like to invite you to share or to take part in our consortium. We have strong partners with Uniper and Siemens Energy, who are the main partners. We are very happy to have 50 Hertz as a TSO and Airbus in our consortium, but we think this Zukunftskraftwerk can also be established in other places where we have today these kind of coal-fired power plants. Thank you very much.
Great experience and innovative idea. I would like now to start the presentation round and the discussion round, and would first have a question to Hanno. So we heard many technical details from you about Hamburg, but as you know, and as I have already mentioned, there are practically no subsidies in Chile. And so the question always arises if such idea pays off in market terms, or is it only feasible in countries like Germany, as your example has shown?
Yeah, Julia, to be very honest, I'm totally convinced that renewable energies are the cheapest energy source we have, not only in the farthest future, but now. When I started my career in the coal business in the 90s, the coal was much more expensive than the electricity from PV or wind today. It was in the range of 15 euros per megawatt hour just for the lignite coal at the gate of the power plant. And today we are below 10 euros per megawatt hour for the cheapest electricity from PV. So from my point of view, it must be possible to use this energy as a primary energy for such a concept. That is one part. So from operating costs, yes, we are absolutely competitive with that concept. On the other hand, the question is if the technology readiness level is really at the range where we expect that. That's the test of the next few years. We do not have so much time for that. But if I look on this high temperature storage, Mike has said that also, and also on the zinc battery, we think that the technology readiness level is high enough to invest now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for this response. Michael, now I would like, I have a question to you. As we know, the devil is often in the detail, as they say. What technical difficulties arise in the short term to implement a Carnot battery, as you described it? Could installations such as the turbines continue to be used?
Yes, definitely. We are currently analyzing that. The turbines can be used. And also there are currently, let's say, commercial companies who would offer a turnkey retrofit of this. So I think, let's say, the devil is probably more whenever you retrofit anything in an existing plant. I mean, it's like, I don't know, you reform in your house, your kitchen or your bathroom, then you always find, oh, there is this old pipeline, this old electrical line, which I didn't have considered. And so it's probably more, let's say, the little things that you will find suddenly when you are retrofitting it in an existing plant than, let's say, any major challenge.
Okay. Rainer, a question to you. How does such a converted power plant help keep the power grid stable and secure?
Well, first of all, it provides energy storage, and so enables the renewable energies, the variable renewable energies like wind and solar, to provide 24 hours and energy and 7 days a week. This is a very important point. The other point, of course, is the because you have a generator, you have a rotating mass, and this gives you stabilize your frequency and also the voltage of the system, and also increases the short circuit security of the system. These are several advantages which I think are very important, especially for the Chilean system, which is an island system.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for this response. I would have now a question to all of you. I hope any one of you wants to respond, or maybe even two. We have heard about examples from Germany and Chile, but are these innovations also interesting and relevant for other countries? And if so, under what conditions? Michael, you have already,
Yes.
You want to, yeah.
Yes, well, first of all, I mean, coal worldwide is 40% of all CO2 emissions. And I think we even in the US has started now, let's say, a program of phasing out coal and the need to repurpose. Now, to give you an example, the second best country with sunshine after Chile is South Africa with the Kalahari Desert. And there we also have already installed molten salt storage systems. They have large coal plants. And also, I think that would be a wonderful example to repurpose these coal plants into storage plants and take the surrounding lowest cost renewable electricity. And then there follows, of course, India, China, southwest of the United States. So I think there's lots to do.
Thank you very much. Rainer or Hanno, do you want to respond to this question as well, or do you have other examples?
Yes,
Hanno, maybe?
I have one example. If you just look from a CO2 perspective on this challenge, you have areas with extremely old lignite power plants. From my point of view, it's, for example, Kosovo A, Kosovo B. I think the experts know them. And these countries have the necessity to exchange these power plants very fast, and they have to overjump, from our point of view, the step gas. Because, for example, in Kosovo, there is no gas connection. Due to historical reasons, they do not really have gas. So there's really the necessity to have to exchange in a one-step approach from the today lignite-driven energy system to a 100% renewable or nearly 100% renewable system. And I think this combination, heat storage, Michael, also from DLR, which are really good storages, I totally underline that, and this H2 production could really help to have a fast track for decarbonization of such countries.
Thank you very much. Rainer, do you want to add something?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is what the experience we make here in Chile could be a very good model, a very good example for other countries. This is the advantage of Chile. You can do things quite fast and with, under very good conditions. And we are already in touch with colleagues of South Africa, Ukraine, Bulgaria, and also India. And I think this technology is very interesting and appropriate for countries which have a park of new power plants. I think it will have a great future, in our opinion.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Rainer. So we have to work a lot in the diffusion of this video and this very nice event, I would say, that other countries can also listen to it. Yeah, thank you very much for your answers. We are already coming to the end of our session. In the name of Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit, GIZ, and the Chilean Ministry of Energy, we thank you very much for your participation, Hanno, Michael, Rainer. And now we have closing words from the Subsecretary Francisco Javier López Díaz. He is from the Energy Ministry of Chile and will now say the closing words.
Dear participants of this side event, first, I would like to express my gratitude to all participants for their inspiring input on possibilities to convert already existing and valuable infrastructure in the energy sector and utilize in a decarbonization energy world. I also want to thank Mr. Hanno Balzer for explaining us a real-life project at an encouraged stage of development. I also want to thank Michael Geyer and the work he has done together with the DLRE and the GIZ here in Chile on a coal plant retrofit with carbon battery technology. And also, I would like to thank the GIZ and Rainer Schroeder, the director of the energy program of GIZ Chile, for all their work and support on the energy transition for our country. As some of you might know, Chile was one of the very first countries to take in their NDCs, National Determined Contributions, to commitment to reach carbon neutrality by 2050. Our decarbonization plan is bold and ambitious, but in a sense it's simple through the promotion of renewable energy, electromobility, energy efficiency, and green hydrogen. The plan is based in our coal phase plan, which will withdraw all coal-fired power plants by 2040. Recently, we accelerate this plan by announcing that we will retire 50% of the coal-fired power plants by 2025, moving into a new era of clean energy and considering the existential challenge of climate change. In Chile, there are many coal-fired power plants that still present a life expectancy with many elements that will allow them to be reconverted into sustainable projects. At the same time, we want to make ourselves independent of coal imports. We are therefore very interested in analyzing innovation solutions for the sustainable continued operation of these facilities as renewable power plants, storage facilities for renewables, also for water desalination plants. The solution with thermal storage of molten salt and reconversion into electricity has already been tested successfully in our country, in the Cerro Dominador project, the first concentrated solar power tower of Latin America. There, the salts are from the Atacama Desert, presenting clear synergies from its developments in Chile. Thank you for this exciting event at CEM. May this event lead further innovations needed in our energy transitions, and that the technical innovations presented are used to an example for decision makers in other countries. Finally, I would like to extend the invitation to be part of the decarbonization process to all those present in their own countries, so that together we can be part of this energy and revolution and reach our climate goals. Thank you all participating in this panel discussion.